So I want to welcome not only all of you, but if you've been following the live stream online, we already have about 70 people from around the world who are joining us online already, and I'm sure that number will grow. And I also want to say that often people ask me for slides when I do presentations. I want to let you know that if you go to our website, my slides are already online. You can view them there. You can download them there if you need to. You can switch me to, oh wait, can you show the browser here? There you go. I'm looking here and it's all here, and anyway. Yeah, everything is already online, the slide set's already online, we already have 75 people viewing. Now you can switch me back and I'll get going. So, as many of you know, I'm the president of NorCal CarciNET. I work with a lot of other medical societies, and I do get a lot of phone calls. I get two basic phone calls. Since I work a lot in nuclear medicine, where can I get a gallium-68 scan? Took care of that. There's a resource now on our website where you can find that anywhere in the United States, as well as some therapy. And the other thing we get asked is, I'm newly diagnosed, what do I do? And those really are the two overwhelming calls that I get when I'm talking to people during the week. So we've actually created, Laurel and I actually sat down and created a resource for that, and I want to go a little bit through that, and we won't get too technical as far as you're not going to have to learn about any medical terms here, I don't think. So obviously, once you get diagnosed, and how many here have been diagnosed in the last year? So we have I'm going to go with about 10% of you in the room that have been diagnosed in the last year. So the first thing I tell people is don't panic. This was lifted from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. In a blink of an eye, your life has changed. But as Pam said towards the end, you're really not alone. Besides the hundreds of thousands of patients that are around the world, because there's 103 or 120,000 in the United States, there's another couple 100,000 around the world. There are thousands of NET professionals, some of them are in this room today, that are actually working to improve your quality of life and who have made working on neuroendocrine tumors their passion. So it's not only that you're not alone as a patient, there's only 4 people working on this disease. There are thousands of people around the world who are vested in your welfare. I have done some writing on this. This is on our website as well, and also on our newly diagnosed website, but I've talked with the ASCO Post about what it's like to live with a rare cancer. And again, as Pam said, we live a long time, and we're trained to be at war with our disease, but really when we live for 15 and 20 years, and I know Ron will talk about this in a little bit, about how many people have survived and how long, it's hard to be at war for 20 years. Not really fun. So also bringing some joy and other things into your life, and I'll talk about that in our checklist as well, but off to our checklist. Find a specialist. We happen to have a few in this room, so we're blessed more so than other places in this country in that we have 2 centers who really specialize in neuroendocrine tumor. That isn't the case around different parts of the country and certainly around the world. So if you can't find a specialist or you don't have a specialist near where you live, consult with a specialist. Have them work with your local doctor. Have questions ready before your appointment. I know this seems like an obvious thing, but it turns out people who have a list of questions ask 2 more questions during their appointment than those who don't. And so questions that get asked get answered. Record your appointment. Now, talk to your doctor about this first, but really, we had an event 2 weeks ago speaking up about NETs, and it turns out that when you go to an appointment and you're listening, you're not really listening. It's really hard because there's so much going on, just even in this last 15 minutes. If I had to quiz you on how much you retained from that, it would be pretty scary. So you need to actually have a recording or some way of taking notes during it. It turns out that as much as Pam or all of our physicians are wonderful at trying to communicate with us, by the time we walk out a day later, we've forgotten 85% of what was said. We have no recall on 85%. And of that 15% that we recall, we get it wrong 50% of the time. So pretty much what's being said in your appointment is going in one and out the other. So try to have a reference point. Make sure your care team is in communication with each other and with you, because it doesn't really matter if they're not talking to each other. This seems somewhat obvious, but if you're unhappy with a team member, you're not stuck. Try to find the team that works best for you. We used to go through this thing of having multidisciplinary care, and that was the big word, but find the team that works for you, because this really is your life. Educate. Well, you guys are already there. You've made a big step by actually being here, so you're getting education. Ignore the long-term stats, because as Pam was showing, the SEER database to where those statistics come from are decades old. We've had 4 new drug releases in the last 3 years. None of that database reflects any of that work. So really don't, it's interesting to look at the clinical trial data, the long-term, not progression, but the long-term survival curves are really, you're riding your own curve. So ride your own curve, use what's current to do that. Join a mailing list. Ours is great, but you're probably all joined it by now. And NETRF as well, but there are a few others. Join a support group. We now run every month here in the Bay Area. There's different places that have it. NETRF and carcinoid.org keep a list of where support groups are, either around the country or around the world. But a word of caution about that. This is back from Animal House. Knowledge is good. It's one of my favorite sayings, and I do believe knowledge is good. The support groups and online groups are great for the sharing of information and for a supportive environment, but there are some challenges with this. Not all information is accurate, evidence-informed, or even relevant for your case. You are an N of 1. We are zebras. The stripes of a zebra are all different. And you see a lot of anecdotal evidence online. And I was struck, I was in Melbourne earlier or late last year at a conference, and there was a regulator speaking about why they wouldn't approve. There's 20, 30 different retrospective or looking backwards studies on PRT, and he said, look, the great anecdotal evidence, great anecdotal trials on this, but the plural of anecdotal is not evidence. It's just more anecdotal evidence. And you really need to understand that just because 1 or 2 stories come out, if you see 10 of them, it doesn't necessarily mean that's evidence that something works. Keep track of your case. This is really important if you're going to see multiple physicians. But track your symptoms. How many people actually do track their symptoms in the room? That's a minority of us, but it's really important, especially if you're having it. Your physician really wants to hear that. Learn how to use your electronic medical records to be able to print out your blood test, what you're on, and be able to bring that to other providers. Especially if you're seeing multiple providers, get copies of your scan. And especially if you have syndrome or other things that are going on that could be life-threatening, invest in a medical ID bracelet. Mine is on the side of my wristwatch, and it's interactive, so it keeps all my insurance records, so wherever I go, someone can, wherever I am, look on the web and actually get whatever I need, including my travel insurance. Don't panic. Enjoy your life. Live your life. At the end of this, you need to go on with your life. Once you've educated, once you understand your plan, know that you know where to go to get the information that you need when you need it, and get busy living. Enjoy every sandwich. I put the reference down below. This is a famous quote from Warren Zevon, who was a great musician who did Poor, Poor, Pitiful Me. And when he was diagnosed with end-stage lung cancer, he was on David Letterman for an entire show, and David Letterman asked him, what can you tell us with what the journey you're going through? What should we know? And he looked at David Letterman and said, what I've learned is that you need to enjoy every sandwich, because you never know when you're getting the next one, and you really need to enjoy every moment and savor it. So it actually turned out to be a book as well. but I really highly recommend that you enjoy life and enjoy every sandwich. Our group, NorCal CarciNET, I think Laurel is modeling the hat. There we go, there's a hat. We're in the running festival every year in Oakland. We sign up about 100 people to raise awareness. We'd love to sign you up to join us. You can saunter, you can walk, you can do whatever. For anyone who would like to sign up, it's April 4th this year. We do have sign-up sheets out there, or you can go online to our site and join us, and anyone who signs up today gets a hat just right here as well. And so with that, I thank you for your time, and really don't panic.